The turmoil at edtech startup, a giant Byju's, with CEO Byju Ravindran admitting his past mistakes. In a call with shareholders, Byju Ravindran assured shareholders that his learnings far outweigh any missteps. During that call, Byju Ravindran acknowledged the resignation of Byju's board members, but said that the company has not yet accepted them, and information about their resignation was leaked out prematurely. In an attempt to assuage the concerns of stakeholders, Byju's, which lost its auditor as well after delaying its financial statements, has said that it will file the 2022's audited earnings by September 2023 this year, and the final results by December this year. Reports are also coming in that Byju's has been making PF contributions with a lag of almost 3 to 4 months for Byju's employees. All in all, Byju's has been boxed into a corner. The troubles just don't seem to end. And now we have my colleague Shomalia Santikare joining us on the broadcast with more details on that. Shomalia, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us over here. Talk to us. Bad news, stream of bad news keeps continuing for Byju's, but this time around, it's an open, blatant admission from founder Byju Ravindran.
And Krishna, I think more to follow. I think what needs to be seen here is the role of the auditors in this entire context. What has been really touched upon, and Deloitte's obviously they just thrown in the towel, if I use that phrase over here, and there are more and more triggers are going to play out in the lending space also because of this, and we can also see reports of many employees at Byju's being disgruntled and looking out for options. So this totally reflects the state of affairs at Byju's, and with Ravindran saying that he's got to make an admission that things are not well, they have to ensure that we have to make it all the more serious for the investors, because who they want back for the money.
Right, and Somalia, that 2022's financial statements, it's going to be filed in September and then December. That's another thing that's been dragging on forever.
You're right. I mean, Byju's, they realized that the investors not going to call the bluff. I mean, they've called the bluff, if I may see so. And the auditors in this context, they have resigned, and the new auditors who are going to come in, they are also going to take a lot of time to fix the books out here. And as Mr. Sanjeev Bikhchandani recently mentioned, that if the founders want, they can get out of this struggle degree by there are many means and methods to it, how to get out of that situation. So interesting times at Byju's, I must say.
Oh, all right. The founders can get out, Karthik, but what about the customers? What about the parents who made sure their kids took up Byju's classes?
Yeah, I know it's definitely a painful sort of transition for parents and students who believed back in the midst of the pandemic that, hey, this is the savior tool.
This is the future.
The platform. This is the future. Let's embrace it. Let's enroll our children. Let's pay those hefty fees. Go ahead and even buy the laptops and the tablets and what have you, which Byju's sort of thrusted down their throats, and made those investments for the future of their children. And now, of course, faced with a situation where whatever money they paid over the last many years hasn't even been audited. You don't even know who has that money, who pocketed that money, and who threw away that money at brand endorsements and sponsoring cricket matches and purchasing GEC airtime like nobody's business. So
Lionel Messi.
Yeah, I mean, it's come to a point where even venture capitalists now are backing away. In any case, you've seen that the whole edtech market has been under turmoil and a sort of full question of existential crisis faces them every day. That now, with the pandemic squarely behind us and officially us being in a post-pandemic world, where is this whole edtech model really headed? And with no clear answers emerging on that front, and super high valuations, and then no real revenue model, to write home about, and no sustenance on the business model laid out with the pandemic over. It's a full question of existential crisis which doesn't have an answer. And Byju's is not alone, but Byju's being the headliner and Byju Ravindran being the star poster boy of edtech is obviously facing the wrath. But yeah, I mean, it leaves a lot of questions unanswered on valuations, on startups, the very fact that edutech could very well be history, and the fact that investments made by parents on education for their children could very well go down the drain with nothing really arising out of it.
Right, and also, what we are given to understand is that the white hat, which Byju's, that there is a flawed business model for white hat as well, is what we're understanding. And also add to that fact, Karthik, so many employees' PF contributions, EPFO contributions have been delayed as well.
And sacking of employees.
Yes.
Let's not forget, 1,000 employees sacked just last week. And PF contributions to existing and perhaps a lot of laid off employees also not really made. It reeks of corporate governance issues.
And these are worrying signs. I mean, we've seen at SpiceJet also, which has been going through a turbulent phase. So if you see comparisons, these are the first troubling signs in a company.
Right, first signs. But I'm afraid we've completely run out of time here on this edition of Business Plus. This is a story that we'll be keeping our eyes on as it develops